Some 43 Catholic organizations sued the government this week, seeking to overturn the mandate that many religious institutions must offer insurance to cover contraception. Joining us now, one of the church leaders behind that effort, Cardinal Donald Wuerl, Archbishop of Washington. And Your Eminence, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you. It's good to be back with you.
The White House makes several points countering your lawsuit, and let's take a look at those. They say almost 99% of women, including a lot of Catholic women, use contraception at some point in their lives, and many struggle to afford it. So they call this a women's health issue. They also note that 28 states already require health insurance plans cover birth control. Your response?
Yeah. This whole lawsuit isn't about contraception. It's about religious freedom. Embedded in the mandate is a radically new definition of what constitutes a religious community, what constitutes religious ministry. Brand new, never before applied at the federal level. That's what we're arguing about. The lawsuit says we have every right to serve in this community, as we have served for decades and decades. The new definition says you're not really religious if you serve people other than your own, and if you hire people other than your own. That wipes out all the things that we have been doing, all the things that we contribute to the common good, our schools, our healthcare services, our Catholic charities, even parish soup kitchens and pantries, all that's wiped out.
But let me pick up on that, because the White House says, the famous accommodation by President Obama, that they have changed the mandate so that the insurance companies that you are dealing with to provide health insurance coverage to your employees have to provide the birth control for free, and that the charities, the schools, the hospitals don't have to do anything.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why we've been saying the accommodation really didn't change anything, because so many of our institutions, certainly the Archdiocese, is self-insured. We are the insurer. So when you say, don't worry, we've changed this, so only the insurer has to pay, and we are the insurer, there's no accommodation.
But they're saying, well, over the next year, we're taking public comment on this, and we will tweak that regulation so that the self-insurers won't have to provide the birth control.
The last time the government said, we're going to hear from you on this, 200,000 suggestions went in, and not one of them was accepted. What was in the presentation before the request for suggestions was exactly what the administration reported out. And by the way, it's law. It's law right now. All of this conversation about, well, maybe we'll find a way around it, that's conversation. What's law right now is that definition is what we're going to have to live with. And that's why we've gone into court, because in the United States, if there is an impasse on something as fundamental as your rights, you go into court, and that way you scrape away all the politics.
I don't know if you've heard about this, but if you haven't, I'll inform you. What do you make of the fact that the broadcast networks have spent a grand total of 19 seconds this week on their evening newscast, 19 seconds covering the lawsuits by the 43 Catholic organizations? What do you make of that?
Well, it is puzzling, particularly since they're focusing so much attention right now on the Pope's butler. It seems to me that somehow they've missed the boat. They've missed the story. And that's why I think it's so important that we have a moment like this.
Do you think it's political bias on the part of the networks?
Well, I think we have to take a look at this in the much larger picture, and certainly people have their own mindset when they come at an issue. That's one of the reasons why we will continue just to say to our people, the issue is religious liberty.
Oh, wait, I want to pick up on that, because as you well know, there is a split within the Catholic Church on this issue. 13 Catholic dioceses did file suit, but that means more than 180 did not file suit. And some of your fellow bishops, especially in California, are saying that this seems to be part of a political campaign by some conservative leaders against President Obama.
I don't know where that is coming from, because there was one bishop who was quoted he issued a statement saying he is totally supportive of all of this, including the lawsuits. So I don't know where that story is coming from. I know it's out there. But again, this is one of the reasons why it's important to have a program like this, where we can speak directly to people, rather than have people...
Are you saying that there is no split within the church on this issue?
I have yet to see among the bishops any split at all. And again, the bishop who was quoted as saying he was concerned issued a statement saying that what was said about him was not his position. And as for how many dioceses have actually gone into court, I'm thinking, you know, when we had the great decision of the Supreme Court that said you can't segregate public schools, there was one case. That didn't invalidate the argument that segregation was wrong. So when you say, well, there must be some division in the church because not every diocese has gone to court, there are dioceses and institutions, universities, hospitals all across the country who have gone into court. The idea was to make this representative of the church in the United States. It would be physically impossible to get every diocese into court at the same time.
Meanwhile, Mitt Romney came out this week for allowing federal funds to be used by low-income parents to send their kids to any public school they want, or even to some private schools and parochial schools. You support that idea, don't you?
The idea that money should follow the child. We all pay the taxes. We all pay taxes for education. Why doesn't that money follow the parents and the kid? For example, here, if you live in the District of Columbia, if you are very wealthy or have a lot of support, you can send your child to a very exclusive private school. But if you live in the center city, if you live in some of the poorest neighborhood, you don't get an option. That's why the Catholic Church is there. That's why we have our schools in the center city, saying, we'll give you a chance to get a decent education, and we'll pay for it. But wouldn't it be fair? Wouldn't it be just? Wouldn't it be really honest if every child got a chance at a real, true, academically excellent education? And one way to do that is let the parents have the choice.
Do you think Mormons are true Christians?
I never get into defining other people. I define myself. That's one of the reasons why, by the way, why we're in court. I define myself.
Right.
I don't want the president to define me, so I'm not going to define somebody else.
Finally, and you were just saying, oh, all the attention being given to it, but it is a story. It is a fascinating story, so I'm going to ask you about it in the time we have left. The Pope's butler has been arrested for allegedly leaking confidential documents, including personal letters to the Pope, to the news media, and these documents seem to show cronyism and corruption inside the Vatican. What would you tell concerned Catholics?
I wouldn't worry too much about what I'm reading in the newspapers about something that media has reported in Italy about something that someone says is going on. I'm not really altogether certain that the butler's access to some documents is really the major concern of the church, or should be the major concern of people in the United States of America today. We have so many other issues. One of them, for example, is we're going to be celebrating Memorial Day. We're going to be turning our attention to those brave women and men who died in the defense of this country, of its freedom, of its Constitution, and of the ability of all of us to carry on our way of life. I think that's where our focus should be this coming Memorial Day, as we simply recognize who we are. By the way, that's one of the reasons we're in court. We're saying, we've been told all along the reason we buried in flags these brave men and women is because they were defending our freedom and our Constitution.
Well done, Cardinal. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's always an honor to speak with you, sir.
Thank you. It's a great joy to be with you, Chris.
Thank you.